Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Jamie Dean and welcome to another unboxing video here on Sidescrollin. This time we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo 64 Controller for the Switch Online service. Now, this is one I'm particularly excited about. The Nintendo 64 is a very special console to me. It was sort of my console of choice, the one that all my memories revolve around growing up. And I was very, very excited when they started adding Nintendo 64 games onto the Switch Online service. However, I have been plagued by control issues trying to play some of these games. The Nintendo 64 controller and the games that were made for it just don't seem to translate terribly well to modern control schemes, modern analog sticks. They just have such a much bigger range of movement than these old analog sticks ever did, and so I find the games very twitchy, very difficult to play. So I'm hoping that with this, all those issues will be resolved and I'll be able to enjoy those Nintendo 64 games the way I always did. So we're going to get this down on the table, crack this open. I'm going to have a little bit of a look at what's in the box, and then we're going to do a little bit of testing and comparing current gen controllers to this when playing Nintendo 64 games via Switch Online. Let's go and have a look at this one down at the table. Now, I've been a bit sick recently, so I do apologize if I am coughing or clearing my throat excessively. I will try and look away from the microphone if I have to do so. But there we go. There's the box there, the shiny front box that you can see me in. Hi. I'll see if I can give you a look at the contents without the glare there. So it's a bit of a weird sort of packaging, the way it's sort of wrapped in this plastic bag. Like, I found that very strange. You know, it doesn't look... It looks kind of like, I don't know, a bit cheap and nasty, doesn't it? Just like a plastic bag wrapped controller in a plastic window. But otherwise, it's very Spartan. That's the back. Red box. Nintendo logo. Nothing else going on of note. No tape or anything sealing this one, so we can just pop this straight open. And have a look what we get inside here. Alright. So we'll get rid of the box. Alright, so there it is in its insert. So they only have, as far as I'm aware, just the grey, the stock standard grey controller. I don't know that these would be popular enough to warrant releasing them in different colours like the original 64 controllers. I don't know how many people are still, like me, trying to play Nintendo 64 games. Yeah, I don't know that there'd be a whole lot of traction for releasing multiple colours. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there would be. But that's it. Looks like there's some paperwork in there. It's not entirely obvious how this thing opens. Does it just come out? Yes, it does. It's just going to slide out there. Okay, so there we go. Controller in its bag. We'll just put that here for now. Get rid of that insert. Other contents of the box. We're looking at the charging cable, as well as your fairly hefty controller manual. Which, oh my goodness, I'm guessing that's a multilingual. Yes. You can see on the front there. Alright. I'm hoping this will be fairly self-explanatory. So let's take this out of the bag and have an actual look at it in the hand. So there we go. It looks the business, I tell you. Like, it looks good. Feels good. Oh, wow. So straight away, you can tell that the stick has had some work put into it. Like, the stick actually... You know, like the old Nintendo 64 grind. You know, you get all the powder residue down in here from years of use. I don't ever remember the sticks being this tight and responsive just straight away, though. Out of the box. They're always like a little bit loose, you know, like a little bit rattly, even brand new. But this has no such issues. That feels really, really good. God, I've not held a Nintendo 64 controller since I had the console. Like, yeah. That's interesting. Like, naturally now, from so many years, my hands want to do this, and I have to sort of... it's going to be interesting to see how much the muscle memory kicks in after all these years, you know. There's the back, so you can see there's no slot, no rumble pack slot. It's all built in, so this is just closed off, just there for aesthetics. We've got the Z trigger. You got some buttons up here that are going to determine, going to tell you battery life, controller, player number. You've got your home button, all that sort of stuff up there. ZR's also weirdly placed there if you need it. But yeah, it feels good. All the buttons feel really nice. Really, really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now just do a quick cut where I will pop over and get my Switch all set up, and we'll try and connect this thing, see how easy it is to actually get it connected, and then we'll give it a test out with some games and see how that goes. Alright, so I've got the Switch set up here, and all I've done is I've just connected the controller via the USB charging cable to my little dock over here, and as soon as I plugged it in, you can see the light on there. It has paired it immediately, straight away. So it looks like that's the way to do it, just to plug it in. There's no sort of wireless connection that I can tell. Just looking at the instructions here, it looks like it does have to be... Oh no, you can also do it via the sync button, which I'm guessing is this little button on the top here. But yeah, I just plugged mine in and it picked it up straight away. All right, so now that that's in, let's actually try it out and get some games happening. All right, so there's 3 games that I'm going to test this with. 3 games in particular that are giving me a lot of trouble with really twitchy responsiveness using modern controllers, that I want to see if this Nintendo 64 online controller can rectify those problems with its analog stick, and just, you know, being a controller it was designed for these games in the first place, if they just feel better to play. So the first of which is going to be Mario Kart. I found Mario Kart really, really difficult to steer. You had to, like, you only had to move a modern analog stick, you know, the barest of millimeters for it to register as like a full-on turn. Drifting was borderline impossible, I found, with modern controllers. It was just generally very, very difficult to control the karts, especially in like 100cc or more. So I'm going to try out that as our first stop to see if this controller can hopefully make that a little bit better and a little bit more pleasant to play. I keep hitting the C right as A, because that's where A is on a modern controller, so I can see that being problematic. Alright, here we go. So I'll go into 100cc and we'll just see how this feels. Just do a basic first cup, mushroom cup. So we're going to be testing the steering, testing the drifting, seeing if this makes it any more... Oh yeah. Wow, that's completely different. Whoop, that's my bad, that one. That is so much better. Which is interesting because it doesn't feel necessarily like this analog stick has a ton less movement in it compared to a modern analog stick. Like, it feels very firm. Oh, you're both going to get got there. But yeah, that is... I can't even tell you how much better that is compared to a modern. I use an 8-bit do an 8-bit do Ultimate controller. Very, very good controller that I like a lot. I don't like it quite as much as the Pro controllers. I think the Pro controller for the Switch is one of my favorite controllers ever. But it is good for doing streaming work because I can very easily flick it between the PC and the Switch at just the touch of a button. So that's my controller of choice, but yeah, it is so hard playing this game with those sticks. See, I can see what's going to happen now is I'm just going to get absorbed in playing this. And forget that I'm actually supposed to be testing this out. Yeah, I was all over the place when I played this the first time. I'll probably show some footage, you've probably seen it already, over the top of me trying to control this game with the 8-bit do and failing miserably. Yeah, that's great. So straight away, I'm very, very happy with how that feels to play. It feels weird in the hand. You know, the Nintendo 64 controller was always a bit of a funny controller, right? Like, it was always a bit of a strange one, but you just sort of felt very natural over time. But because I haven't held it for so long, and my hands obviously are much bigger than they were when they were just little kiddie hands, it's not awkward. It's just the muscle memory didn't pick it up as quickly as I thought it might. You know, it's been so long since I've actually held one, so it does take some getting used to, I suppose, is the word I'm trying to find here. Yeah, but that's Mario Kart done. I'm happy with that. That's check that box. That's fantastic. One down. The next one that I had a lot of trouble with was Jet Force Gemini. This is, again, same issue. Anything where the stick, especially aiming-wise, is required, I found very, very difficult. Again, especially on those modern controllers with their huge range of movement compared to this analog stick, and the game's just not being built with that in mind. I felt Jet Force Gemini was very difficult to aim, very difficult to control. So that's going to be my second test, is getting that one and seeing how we go with a bit of Jet Force Gemini, and hopefully see if it can continue. You know, we're 1 for 1 at the moment. All right, here we go. Now I do have a save. We'll just jump in that one. I'm not very far in. I played it on stream, you might have seen recently. And if you saw that stream, you'll see how it ended, because of the constant control problems I was having. Now, admittedly, a lot of it was my poor skill with the game. I'm happy to admit that. But it certainly wasn't helped by the difficulty with the controls. All right. So again, straight away, the thing with Juno here in Jet Force Gemini is when you turn around, you can see he sort of he runs in an arc. He doesn't just turn. You see that there? If you can stop and you'll slide and turn around, but if you want to turn a corner, he's got quite a wide turning circle. And that, again, just wasn't translating very well to a modern control stick. The 64 controller, however, you know, you roll that around the outside, as you can probably see on the table cam there. You can roll that around the outside and it's much, much easier. Because it uses that range of movement. Let's see just how the controls go just by default. See if I can remember how to do this. And I know there's duck, roll, that's strafe. Aha. Oh my god. Strafing in particular is so much easier. Now they are inverted, which says, you know, shooters aren't really inverted anymore. It's like airplane controls a little bit. But especially, it's interesting with the strafing as well, how I sort of was set for the strafing to be really tricky. Ooh, look out, turn around. Got him. Oh, there's a couple there. No. Alright, we're going to pick off this green bug up the top there. Excuse me. Gotcha. It's not as big an improvement as Mario Kart was. Mario Kart was like night and day difference, but it is an improvement, especially with the strafing, funnily enough. Trying to strafe with the other stick, with a dual stick setup in these games that were never meant to have two sticks, I was finding very, very difficult. I don't know, like the camera was just going all over the place and I was going all over the place. But strafing, like, it feels very natural with the C buttons. I guess because, you know, that's how it was designed. Like, I never would have even really attempted to strafe with the dual stick setup, but this is... I think that's actually the real win here, is the stick feels better, but the strafing feels 10 times better. Yeah, that's great. I know there's a dude over here that's got a red key for me. Yeah, I can't believe how much better that is to, like, turn corners and things. Massive difference, just having those C buttons and instead of a second joystick. And again, I'm trying not to get sucked into playing this. Because now that I'm not wrestling so much with the controls, I feel like I can pay so much more attention to the actual game, you know? Because when you're fighting with the controls all the time, it just pulls you right out of it. Well, we'll quick look in here. Wow. I had so much trouble with that guy the first time I fought him. I think he killed me a few times because I just couldn't dodge side to side, or I didn't feel like I could dodge side to side to get around his shots. But again, the strafing is so much better now. And now I have a machine gun. Can I, like, make it over here? No. Still a skill problem there. All right. So yeah, 2 for 2 so far. I'm happy with that. The steering was a huge improvement in Mario Kart. The strafing was a bit of a game changer in Jet Force Gemini. It took me like the better part of an hour to get to that point in the game that I just got through in, like, what, 5 minutes or something? Because I was wrestling with the dual stick controllers in a game that was just never meant for it. But now we're going to really test this thing out with the one I've almost bought this controller exclusively for, and that's GoldenEye. So to play GoldenEye with a modern controller, you have to do all sorts of fucking gymnastics. You have to get a custom controller setup in your Switch settings to start with, to switch the joysticks around. And then once you've done that, you need to then go into the game and then load into a different control scheme in-game to get the best approximation of a modern dual stick shooter controls in GoldenEye. And it still doesn't quite feel right. It's still very, very twitchy. It's still very difficult to aim. I'm hoping now that I've got this, I don't have to worry about any of that nonsense. I can literally just load up GoldenEye and fucking just play the game, right? Like, just get in and play instead of having to dick around with all those controller settings. So let's go ahead and give GoldenEye a go and see if we can get 3 for 3 here. Oh, man, that strafing is insane. All right, so we've still got looky up and looky down, which is not right. So we're still going to have to go in and change our control scheme here from solitaire to something better. Is it honey? Is that the one we use? It might be. Let's try that out. There we go. There we go. Yep, that's the one. All right, let's do it. Ooh, look out. Now there's a sniper rifle up here, if I remember rightly. Oh, and a gentleman. Here we go. Change gun. No. That's aim. Ah. All right. No. How do I change gun? What's change weapon? No. I don't know how to change gun. Strafe. B is reload. A. There we go. Everyone was probably shouting that at me. All right, so the sniper rifle was just impossible to use before. Now those guys are gone. Whoa. They'd come here. The sniper rifle was impossible to use, really. Anything that you had to aim at really was impossible. So I want to try this out. God, that feels so much better. Like, I know my poor skills are not showing that, but it does genuinely feel so much better. And it's not inverted aiming, which is great. Dead. Good shooting. Dead. Yeah, this is a lot better. So I'm trying to keep my controller in frame here, so let's get this thing out. I spent a long time just sort of getting accustomed to the bad GoldenEye controls. So it's actually surprisingly taking more readjusting than I thought to get used to how they originally were. But certainly the movement is the big one again that I'm noticing. Same as Jet Force Gemini, moving around is so much better. Get this dude with the alarm. Whoop. No one up there. Yeah. I can see it's going to be so much easier to play. Once I can get used to how it was. I wonder if there's a way to turn that inverted aim off in Jet Force Gemini, because not having inverted aim is so much better, so much easier. I can't believe how easy it is to strafe, or how natural it feels. How natural it feels playing a first-person shooter with only one joystick, you know? Like, we've become so accustomed to dual stick controls for console shooters. And I was really worried that going back to the C buttons was going to just be clunky and awful, but it's really not. Anyone here? Oh, there he is. Hello. I know auto aim's doing a fair bit of the heavy lifting here, but that's more my terrible skills than anything. All right, I think we can pretty safely jump off here. Let's go. Done. Yeah, wow. That is really cool. All right, and there we go. That's going to do it for the Nintendo 64 controller for the Switch Online service. And I tell you what, I loved it. I think that's a huge win for those particular games. Now, it's going to be like a tricky proposition, a tricky thing to recommend, because it's going to depend entirely on how much you value playing those particular games. I mean, this was not a cheap controller by any means. I mean, here in Australia, I think it cost us about $70 or $80 to get one of these in. That's a pretty expensive piece of kit for something that's intended to be used for what is really a very niche, very specific set of games. So whether that's going to be something that's worth it for you to be able to play that particular library, that's a judgment you kind of have to make for yourself. For me, the Nintendo 64, like I said, is one of my absolute favorite consoles of all time. This is a library of games I've been very much looking forward to playing, and being continually frustrated by the control schemes of the modern controllers and how they behave with those older 3D games. All of those issues that I had, every single one, has been eliminated by using this the Nintendo 64 Switch Online controller. So for me, I think it is absolutely worth it. I'm going to get a lot of use out of this. And now it's got me excited to go back and actually revisit a lot of those games, rather than sort of cautiously I don't know, a little bit like hesitant to engage with them because I know it's going to be a twitchy, frustrating affair. Not so anymore with this. So that's a big thumbs up for me. That is 3 for 3. Every single one of those problems that I had with those 3 particular games have been cured, and now I'm looking forward to getting in and testing this out with more games from that particular library. So that's going to do it from me for today. I hope you found that useful. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found it interesting, and maybe it will help you with a decision on whether you will go ahead and purchase that particular item or not. But until the next video, thank you so much for watching. My name has been Jamie Dean, and as always, make sure you keep on side scrolling. Catch you next time.